My name's Deb. I'm the founder of Find Calm Here. We have conversations on helpful strategies around finding calm in daily life. I created this community back in the spring of 2020 this year, really to focus on connecting everyone to these amazing resources. If you could have told me 3 years ago there was one place to find amazing resources to find calm, I would have been like, sign me up. But there wasn't. So I spent the last 3 years like figuring things out on my own and diving into meditation and yoga and essential oils. And now I'm kind of like bringing all of those resources that I found to you and all these people that I meet in different modalities of life. They bring us these amazing things. So, our new core values, because we're doing some changes here with Find Calm Here, and our new core values, we believe it's possible to find calm in building a business, designing a personal wellness program, and creating financial freedom to live a lifestyle of your dreams. So that's what we kind of try to support you in here with Find Calm. And today in our chat, we're going to talk with Stephanie about journaling. Journaling is something I've been doing for the last few years on a daily basis. I do morning pages. And I also do some other kinds of journaling, like food journaling and some prioritization journaling. And so Stephanie's going to dig into that. She's been a community member basically since the beginning of Find Calm Here, which is so great to now have you as a presenter and a speaker with Find Calm Here. So exciting. So thanks. I'm going to stop talking and give it over to Stephanie so she can get us into chatting about journaling.
Perfect. Thanks, Deb, for that introduction. And yeah, like Deb said, I've been here since day one, and it's been really cool just being able to incorporate bits and pieces of all the different partners that I've attended. And I'll touch a little bit on that as well as I go through my presentation. Sorry. I don't know how to turn off the sounds when people come into the room.
I will let people in, so don't worry about it.
Okay. But you might hear a couple dings here and there. Before we start, if you attended one of my talks, just letting you know, I like to make things more interactive. So if you have a chance, you can put your screen in gallery view, which you can do in the top right corner of your screen. So that way you can kind of see everyone who's on the call here. I like doing this for all my Zoom calls just to see like different reactions of people and just having that community feel. For me, I've been journaling on and off in the past few years, but I've only recently started making it a daily habit. And I do two types of journaling. So I start with a morning journal, like every weekday. I give myself the weekend off. And for that, I've just been building over time, just building a habit of doing that. So it's a lot of trial and error to develop these habits, right? I used to start off with like, okay, I set a timer for 5 minutes and just free write. And with the intention of trying to build it up to like maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But that wasn't exactly working. Because sometimes, I just want to write a little bit longer, or I didn't have anything to write that day. So I told myself, as long as I write down something in the morning, like it could be like 2 sentences, or it could be a whole page, but just not giving myself too much structure there, just giving myself that freedom and flexibility, depending on how I feel in the morning. And with that journaling habit, I've developed a morning routine with it. So I couple it with reading as well. So I'm trying to do those both in the morning, and also trying to meditate as well. And just kind of like creating that whole ritual in the morning. I'm sure you might have heard like all these like millionaires and entrepreneurs who have this crazy morning routine, right? They wake up at 5 a.m., they exercise for 3 hours, meditate for an hour, have a healthy breakfast. So that was something like I thought I could do. I'm not a morning person at all. I was like, okay, I'll wake up early, I'll do all these things. But it, like I said, trial and error, like over time, you like test things out and you figure out what works best for you. And for me, just giving myself that freedom and flexibility to be like, okay, like as long as I get some reading done, as long as I get some writing done, a little bit of meditation, like I'm okay. And I actually have a little calendar where I check off when I do it each day, and that's pretty motivating as well. So, sorry, I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent, but I feel like that whole journaling thing just kind of like, I built that whole routine around it.
I love,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to say though, it's really funny that you said that because, and I just I just did a blog post recently about all the different journals that I've used. And like one of those is the Miracle Morning. And he talks about getting up really early. And I was not a morning person either, but it's so funny because like I became a morning person. I don't know that like you're saying like that didn't work for you. So I feel like it's a good note to say, okay, waking up at 5 o'clock may not be for you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can incorporate journaling in different parts of the day later. But I just wanted to point out that like, that's a good point that like, there's all these people that talk about how like you could be super productive at 5 o'clock in the morning, but don't feel like that has to be you. So
Yeah. Because everyone has their own different styles and you figure out what works for you.
yeah.
And I have heard good things about the 5-minute like journal that gives you prompts and everything. Like I said, I prefer just doing it my own way, but I've heard good things about it. So now that we have a few people on the call, is there anyone here that already journals? Nice.
Yeah, raise your hand, everybody, or do the in the chat, put a 1. If you're not on the camera, put a 1 in the chat.
Or you can do, there's also the reactions button. If you like hover at the bottom of your screen,
Yep.
you can do this.
So we got a good number of journaling people, writer, journal people.
And so does anyone want to come on and speak about how they journal? Maybe we can share a couple things. If it's also free writing or you do prompts daily. Not, that's also okay.
I'll share. Cool. And I feel like I've shared on some previous calls, but I'll share again on this. So I journal and I have been doing it for a long time, since I was pretty young. I like to write and I like being able to just get whatever's inside of me onto some paper. I just feel like there's a weight that gets lifted off when I do that. It's just very therapeutic and very calming. So I enjoy journaling and I try to do it as often as I can. I don't do it every day or have like a routine, but I do it fairly often throughout the weeks. So I'll do a variety of things. I'll just do like free journaling. So I'll just write down whatever's going on in my mind or, from that day. Sometimes I'll do a journal that has prompts. So more recently, I've been doing the Becoming Journal by Michelle Obama. And she basically lists out some prompts that you can journal from. Like, for example, she'll ask, so what's a memorable dinner that you can recall? And who was there? What did you have? Why was it memorable? And you can just journal on that. And it's just something fun. And it kind of gives you a chance to like reflect on your life and kind of revisit some places that you've been to, things that you've done, people that you've met. So I enjoy kind of, doing that sort of journaling. And I'll also do some devotionals for my faith. I'm Christian, so I'll do some devotionals that would also give some prompts, pretty similar to what I just mentioned, but it'll be based upon scripture, so things that are found in the Bible, and just kind of tied to what's going on in my life and my personal experiences. So I also kind of find it's a way of journaling and, being able to reflect on what's going on and, kind of helps to center me as I go about my daily routines.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing, Priscilla.
Sure.
I see Casey there has the Sweet Ass Journal. I think Deb, you use the same one too, right?
Yeah, the many journals I have used in the last 3 years, because I've gone through a couple. The Sweet Ass Journal with our Find Calm Here partner, Heath Armstrong, who was on here and talked about affirmations a while back. He wrote that book. It was amazing it gave you like some structure. There, Casey has it. Mine's in the back somewhere. I bought my best friend a copy. I was like, if I give you this, will you do it? And she's like, yes. And then, like, of course, no, that didn't happen. But I tried. But yeah, it gives you like really great structure and some background around like online business and ways and like check boxes to like feel like you've accomplished things, like when you can check things off. So I love those kinds of awesome things for sure. Yes. I have used it.
And then Susan says that she also journals sporadically, but would make it more of a habit as well. So because that, like, you can always start small with that habit. Like I set myself like a minimum, right? I'm committed to doing it every day, but a minimum, just writing like a couple sentences out. 1 or 2, just having that feeling of accomplishment, starting off your day and feeling productive. And going off what Priscilla said before too as well, just getting your thoughts onto paper, it's nice. Kind of getting out of your head, gaining some clarity on that, and just really like being able to like articulate what you're feeling and what your thoughts are. So I agree, it's pretty therapeutic for me as well. And yes, Casey says setting yourself up for success for the day. I completely agree with that. Like I said, it's a random tangent, but I also make my bed every morning. I'm not sure if you've heard like about that. Like just making your bed gives you also that sense of accomplishment to start your day. So that's something that I've just built in as well. So that's mostly about that, my morning journal routine. And I also wanted to move into bullet journaling, which is another type of journal that I use. And I wanted to see like a show of hands if anyone is familiar with the bullet journal or also bullet journals themselves. Yeah, a few people. Cool. So the bullet journaling is a system that I use to try and stay organized. So maybe Deb, we'll do something interactive, right?
Yeah,
we could do something interactive.
Let's do
So
that.
if you have a pen or paper near you, or you can use like your phone or just type it out. Maybe we'll take a couple minutes and just, if you can just write down all the things that you know that you have to do. Like, and
I have a lot of
just
things,
like a brain
dude.
dump right now.
Brain dump. Oh my goodness. I have so many things to do, not to mention. But yeah, I love that Susan's showing hers. So I have like a notepad that I use where I like put notes down, but I also have this, which is one that I was talking about, which has lots of questions. Like you can't really see it, but it has lots of prompting questions. But yeah, lots of to-dos.
Oh, sorry, Sarah. So I was just saying, let's take a couple minutes, just write down like everything that you know that you need to do. Like anything that comes to mind. We're just doing like a little brain dump. And I'll set a timer for a minute or so.
Yeah, to get Dia's like morning routine, like when you do in the morning, all the way from morning until night. Maybe thinking of.
Do you have your bills to pay? Do you have someone's birthday coming up? Like, do you need to send a gift? Like, kind of just anything that really comes to mind when you hear that. And then maybe I'll do. Should have had some music ready. Sorry.
Casey's got the music jamming. She's dancing. Feel it. I feel the music. I feel the music.
Do you actually have music, Casey? Or
no, there's no music. It's in my head.
I love that. In my head. In my head. All right. Sorry. I keep getting like squirrel today. All right. I feel like a lot of where's everybody at with this? Or you got like a decent list? Like
yeah. So my timer just went off for the minute, so we can pause here. And so I want you to take a look and see if there's anything I guess on there that is really important that you need to prioritize. So maybe put a star by those. Take a couple of seconds to do that. And then going through your list, look at anything and see if there's something that is not really urgent, but can be done later on. And maybe just putting like a dash by that or symbolizing it somehow as well. And I was wondering if, Jason, to-do list journaling. For bullet journaling? Yeah, it's what I use just to organize like my to-do list and all my tasks and keep organized that way.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways you could do this too. We're talking about that prioritization method, which is really great. But you could go in more detail if you're a writer like me. I like to expand on these ideas.
So does anyone here already have a system in place that they use for like their to-do list and for prioritizing? Like kind of what we're doing now, just like keeping track of everything that they have to do versus just keeping it in their head? Casey, yes, to-do list, physical to-do list.
To-do list and oh shit lists, and then I have a planner.
You're so organized, Casey.
Well, I have to be. Sweet.
Yeah. It's like
go ahead, Steph.
Organized chaos.
I was going to say, let me ask, is anybody using apps? Yeah, Leo, okay. Yeah, I was going to say Trello, Asana. She says Google Calendar.
Oh, Jason, yeah, tons of notebooks. Are those all your to-do list?
I'm a person that needs to write it down and not just type it out. So I will have it in Google Drive. I'll have it in my planner, my to-do list. And then sometimes in my Gmail, I have it on the
Calendar
list that he has in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. Like I have things like digitally online, but it also helps me to write it down and just like physically have it in places. And there
That's
are
why
studies.
I was asking if to-do list was journaling, because I have one for like a master to-do list, a daily, one for each business, and then personal. So I was like, wait, I guess I do journal.
Yeah, I think it's a form of journaling, just like getting it out there on paper. But yeah, I was saying there's like studies that show that writing things down by hand makes you remember it better. So it makes it stick more in your mind. Yeah, passion planner. I think, Casey, don't you use a passion planner as well? Or a different planner?
Mine's the Living Well planner by Ruth Silka. Yeah.
So many planners out there.
Yeah, I love this one. I'm getting it for Christmas, but I don't know yet.
See, for me, like you see all these like different types of journals that are out there. And then for me, what I like about the bullet journal is that you can customize it and also make it your own thing as well. So I think there is like an actual bullet journal that you can buy. But the idea with a bullet journal is you kind of like figure out ways that you organize it yourself. So I can go through quickly like how I set mine up if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
And then it's also like I said earlier, like it's trial and error because I've done this like throughout the year and just figure out what I liked. And I think with bullet journaling, it really helps me overcome like my perfectionism, because like I said, there's so many things online, so many different resources online that say like, oh, it has to look like this, has to look like this. And some people get really artistic when it comes to bullet journaling. You can see some really cool designs, and it's a little bit intimidating when you start your bullet journal, right? You're like, I have to get it perfect. It has to look like this. I have to use this pen. So the bullet journal, like I said, it's like a way that I organize my to-do list. And it's a bit overwhelming at first, I think, if you're not used to it or you're not familiar with it. And like I was telling earlier, it's just like organized chaos. So it's like, it works for me. It might not work the same way for you, but you can figure out a way to make it your own. So with my bullet journal, let's see. Don't be intimidated, but this is what like my typical week looks like. So this is how I set it up in a week. Like I have like each day is a different column, and in each line I literally write down like everything that I need for that day. And what's nice is, you know how like you have your to-do list and you start writing things down, but for the bullet journal, it's nice because I can, if there's something that I think of that can be done a different day, it doesn't live on that day. I can move it, and it's like prioritizing, right? It's like out of my mind and onto paper. And that's where I put like all the events that I have, any calls, honestly, even like small tasks like, oh, I need to text this one person back. If I don't, like, I'm sure there have been times when you're like, you see a text and you can't answer it right away. And then it's like 2 weeks later and you're like, oh, shoot, I should probably get back to that person. But sometimes like if I'm in the middle of something and I think of it, and I'll write it down and say, okay, at least sometime today or tomorrow, I need to respond back to this person. Does that help a little bit? Does anyone have questions? And Jason asked both personal and biz. Yeah, I use it for both. It's like just a way for me to keep everything in one place.
I think I do that when I'm out when I'm out like walking. I'll like add a calendar like event if I want to like call somebody or block some time. Like I'm trying to block some time this week. So I think sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm going to put it on my calendar so I remember. So sometimes I do that on the Google Calendar when I'm on the go. And I was talking to somebody the other day about like voice notes. So if you're on the go and like you're not by your journal or something and you think of something, because a lot of times that's when inspiration sparks or you remember something, the voice note is another good tip to just like record yourself saying, hey, Deb, later I need to do the laundry because I have no clean underwear. That would probably be pretty things that I need to prioritize for that day.
Yeah, I put like laundry on my list as well. And yeah, on that note as well, like sometimes I'll text myself, just say like reminder, like you need to put this at some point on your to-do list.
Oh my gosh, I was in creation mode like when I started Find Calm here, and I was like having all these ideas when I'm running, and I was like texting my boyfriend. I was like, hey, I'm going to text this to you now so I don't forget because I want to ask you about it later, but I have to think it through yet. But here's the thing. Funny. So if you have a friend, it's even better because then you can like workshop your idea mid-idea sometimes, unless you don't want the feedback because it's not nice.
So that was an example of like how I schedule my week, but some people do it with like different boxes for the days as well. It just space it out. Like for me, I just like the linear, like each day of the week goes across like that. So like back when I was starting, yes, Casey, exactly like that. Is that also a bullet journal? Nice.
Yeah, I gave it a go at one point, and then I just was more concerned about making it pretty and then lost track of the purpose of it.
Can you hold it up to the camera again so that I have you up? There you go. Oh, I love it.
So I had so you can do it. Yeah, I don't mean to take over here, but yeah, you can do it sorts of different. Let me show, like this way. I started doing it this way because I found it had more room. Yeah. But then again, like I said, I got so involved with just making it pretty that I ended up not using it for its purpose. And like, I'm not artsy, so I don't know what I was thinking on that one.
I'm not artsy either, so.
It's a rabbit hole.
That's hilarious, though. I love that. Making it pretty.
When I was first starting out, I started using like different colored pens and trying to make it pretty. And then one of the outlines that they do is like making it list form. So like each day would start a different list, and like I made it really pretty. Like every day had a different color, but that was just too much work. And now it's just like a simple black pen. I had it somewhere. Yeah, just a simple black pen that I'm using now. So like I said, it's just like trial and error, and you figure out what works for you. And that's what I think is really cool about the bullet journal for me. And it's kind of nice because you can like flip through the pages and kind of see your progress in doing that. And then with the bullet journal, I also, so those are my weekly spreads. And then you also have a monthly spread as well. So this is something that takes a little bit of time to set up, but I think once you like invest that time to make it set, like it helps your life so much easier. So this is what the monthly one looks like. Oh, sorry. So it'd be something like this. So I went in and I did like each month, and then I did like everything, like, you know, like birthdays and like any trips or major events that are coming up that I don't necessarily like, I just want to remember it for later. And then when I'm setting up my bullet journal, sorry, I kind of missed this part, but at the beginning of every month, I set up my bullet journal for the month. So I could show you what I did for November just recently. So if you see here, so at the beginning of every month, there's a spread, and I reflect on the month before. And then I write down things that I'm excited for in November, just things that I'm looking forward to, any goals, like I said, any events. And for, you know, just taking some time to reflect on what I accomplished in October. So I'll be doing this in a couple of days. And then I also set up a smile, like it's kind of like a gratitude list. So every day I'll go through and I'll write down like a couple things that made me smile that day. And I think it's just like a nice way to end your day, just thinking about, even if it's like something small, like, oh, I had my favorite meal today, or, oh, I connected with someone and talked to someone. It's just like a nice way, I think, to end your day. And then on my habits page, this is where I'll go in and like cross things off for each day that I accomplish something. And I'll look at the habits that I did in October to see what worked and what I want to continue in November. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.
I really like that, because not only are you bringing positivity by reflecting on this, like the smile, the daily smile. So it's like a daily like happiness journal, kind of a reminder each day, gratitude, being thankful at the end of the month for the amazing things that happened, and then like what you're excited about for the upcoming one. Those are all like motivational, positive, well-being, like ways to like reset your mindset, especially going into like the winter. And sometimes like you get the tendency to like hibernate and like be more, I have the seasonal depression. So a lot of the time when the seasons change is when I struggle with being positive. So I love that you're like having that intention and saying that intention every day to really focus on bringing that positivity in your life, especially right now. Cause dude, it's like rough out there right now in the world. And the next couple of days are going to be a challenge, but you know, starting off with that calm positivity in the day, and then ending with it as well. Having we talk about morning routines, but then also having some kind of a nightly routine is really helpful, because like you said, reflecting on your day, and then you're just, and getting your mind cleared so that you can then sleep and you're not like, what do I have to do? Because you've already written it out. You know what's going to happen tomorrow. At least you know what you think is going to happen tomorrow. And then
and then you have an idea,
and then you go from there. And it's a great way to run the day instead of the day running you.
Yeah, it's nice. And like for me, like I'm more of a night person than a morning person. So at night I'll like look at my to-do list of what I need to do for tomorrow, like you said, like prep my day for tomorrow. And that, like, you know, going to bed, I have a clear idea and it makes me feel calm that way. But I know some people will wake up early in the morning and then look at their to-do list that morning, and then that's when they set their day. But for me, it takes me a while to like wake up in the morning. So if I can do anything the night before, then that's really helpful for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on that, going off the gratitude list, like the smile list, at the end of the month, I'll look back at like the whole list. So in October, I went through like my September list and I circled the things that stuck out the most to me. And that is what I'll kind of say like, oh, there's a common theme that happened in September. These are the highlights. These happen a lot of times. So it's just like a nice way to look back on that. And then at the end of the year, you can actually look back on all your months and see like all the good things that happened and all the goals that you accomplished. So it's just I don't know, it's like a nice way to like physically see your progress and like,
Yeah. It's really great. I love and it doesn't take a lot of time. I think what a lot of people hesitate with the journaling is that they feel like it's going to be a big time commitment. They're like, well, I don't have time to write a whole paragraph about the things I'm grateful for or something. And so like this method allows you to say, okay, if you don't have time for like 2 seconds, you've got some problems. Because it's pretty much anybody can adapt to this. I mean, I'm not going to go out on the limb and say like everybody should be able to do it because I don't know everybody's situation, but you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of an easier, I make things a lot more detailed and complicated than this would be helpful for me probably because I do have 4 different journals at a time. So I really appreciate that. And there's other ways to journal too. We didn't talk, but I wanted to just mention talking about like your life and then reviewing it. That's kind of what blogging is, right? We share about our life and it's like the public journal is the blog. So if you guys are blogging, then you are journaling. It's just that you're putting it out there instead of having it as a private only view, right? Having it as a public view. So that's also a form of journaling that we wanted to just mention.
Yeah. And if you do start bullet journaling, like you don't have to do all of these right away. Like it took me some time to like build like, okay, like I want to incorporate like the habit tracker. I want to incorporate the gratitude list and all these reflections. So I think the main thing that you wanted to do with it was like the daily to-do list. And then you, like I said, you figure out ways that works for you. And then there's plenty of ideas online as well. So like I said, like it can definitely be overwhelming when you start, but just start small and know that you don't have to do everything right away. So,
sure.
And then, yeah, just quickly on that, I think I showed you like the monthly log as well. So, also at the beginning of the month, I'll look back on that monthly log or this one. And then I'll take whatever is in here and I'll start putting it into like the different days. So it just kind of like funnels it down from like over big picture to like daily tasks.
Yeah.
So that's my bullet journal method.
I love it. And there's other ways like calendars could be considered journaling in a way. If you like document your calendar in a way that you're using like a physical calendar on the wall, you can actually like put your tasks in there, and that could actually be considered a form of journaling too, because you can reflect back on that calendar and see what you did in that year and that time span. So it's really just different. There's just so many different ways to record your life, which is really what it is. Because then what's really cool is you could actually look back at your journals, which they don't necessarily recommend always, depending on the situation, but to look back at them and see how far you come. I was just looking through this week had me sparked about journaling, of course. And so I was looking back at journals from 3 years ago. So much different. My writing is different. My language is different. The things that I'm talking about are different. You know, like just my whole life is different, and it's crazy, but like it really can, depending on the person, it can really help you work out a lot of stress and anxiety. It can help you work out challenges that you're dealing with that maybe you don't have a counselor or somebody to talk to you right away. And it can help you with like dealing with a lot of really challenging, hard stuff that the negative self-talk, I had a lot of that. I was like saying a lot of mean stuff to myself. And it's like, I would never say that to anybody, but I was saying it to myself in my journal. So it's like, but now I'm learning to like have that positive reinforcement, but it's just amazing. It's really cool how you can like see, and the journaling in blogging. So I've been blogging for a few years now, and like now I can reflect back to those stories, and I'm pulling that content for other things now, and I'm repurposing these stories, and I wouldn't have had them had I not journaled them somewhere and not shared them. I might not remember it. I might be like, oh, or not remember it in as much detail. But now I can go back to like my blog and say, oh, this is a really great story I can use for this purpose now, because that's what I did today. Crazy. Jason says, exactly. Jason, you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of those guys that like spills their guts on their feelings and stuff, but you know, my wife just finished her 1 year of cancer free from breast cancer, and I didn't really have anybody to talk to. So I looked through my journals, and it really is kind of like having somebody to talk to. You know, I don't have to talk to anybody. I just have to write it down and then read it later. And then it's like, wow, yeah, I've come far from last week. And then I showed my wife after we finished, and she was like, I can't believe you went through all this by yourself. And I'm like, I wasn't. I was with myself. You know, so it's hard sometimes, you know, when you go through tough times. And I think the whole world's going through a tough time right now. And you don't really want to talk to about people and get in arguments, but you have feelings that are your own and you write them down. And that's kind of why I was interested in this, is what exactly is journaling? Because I mean, I have 6, 7 to-do list books, but I also have a private journal that I write in the mornings and at night with affirmations and things like that. But I didn't know what was counted as journaling.
You're the designer of your own life, so you can define it however you want to define it, right? Technically,
I follow the 2-minute rule. If I spend 2 minutes every morning and every night just writing down thoughts, a lot of times it turns into 15 minutes, but at least, you know, a couple minutes just to write down a couple things, I'm fine with that, you know. But if you kind of set a 15-minute rule and you're sitting there looking at the clock at 7 minutes, to me, that's, you know, a negative. So I set a 2-minute rule, and I don't think I've ever gone less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. That's like I said, it's just setting the goal very small. And once you get the momentum going, and then you can build off of that, but you're not forcing yourself, right? You're not forcing yourself to fill in those 15 minutes for yourself. So I feel like that's like a way to like bring calm into your life as well. So,
Casey has her hand up.
Thanks for sharing, Jason.
I'm so polite. I'm like sitting here with my hand up like I'm in grade school.
Thanks,
no,
Jason.
I just wanted to mention, I think another great way, if you are in like the to-do list portion where you kind of have like your to-do list for every day, whether it's in a journal or on just a piece of paper, a good way to get started with actually the emotional side of the day is every single day at the end of that day on your to-do list, write how you feel. Whether it's exhausted, I'm happy, I feel accomplished, today sucked, but whatever it is, that gives you just like a one-line thing that you can then go through and see your progress mentally even. Yeah. And you can tell if you're on the right path or not. So it's a good way to start that whole emotional side of the journaling.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good idea. Thanks for sharing, Casey. Yeah, I think I did also start doing that for a while too. And that was before I had my smile list. And then I realized I just wanted to like make it a positive experience. So I ended the day with some positivity. So that's good. And then, yeah. And just lastly on the bullet journal, like there's also something like pretty satisfying for me when I like cross things off my list. You feel like pretty accomplished in doing that. And going back to like the beginning activity where I asked you like prioritize, I do that at the end of my day when I look over my to-do list, right? And I see like I cross off the things I accomplished, or if I like only if I make progress on it, I'll be able to move it to the next day or like another day. And it also lets me look at what wasn't really important. Like if I didn't get to something, is there a reason why I didn't do it? Like, and that just kind of helps like declutter, I think, your mind as well, and like getting rid of things that aren't necessary. Like I think it just helps you prioritize as like, oh, this is not something I need. And you can always put it off, like maybe I'll visit it in a month, right? Like not everything is urgent right now. So that's just kind of like is a little bit coming as well.
Oh, how true that is. It's so funny. I get so ahead and think about things. And my boyfriend was talking about going to Arizona, and we might go to Arizona because he has a wedding maybe in February. And I'm like, oh, we can go to the Grand Canyon, and maybe we can go say hi to Casey. And I'm just like 17 things are running in my head. He goes, we don't even have any plans yet. I just said, like, I'm mentioning it to you, just FYI kind of a thing. So it's like, I feel like with conversation as well as with journaling, I can get far ahead when today is what I need to focus on, this moment, being present. What do I have control over? How can I bring myself calm today? How can I step out into the world calmer and happier and positive, and be that person instead of like bringing negativity into the world, because that's not what I want to be out in the world. That's not what I want people to think about when they think about Deb. I don't want them to think about, oh, she's that person that complains about X, Y, or Z. I want to be the person that, oh, Deb is positive and supportive in my life, and I like having her in my life because that's nice. Those are warm, fuzzy things versus the other things. Okay, I'm just silly today.
No, you're fine.
I wanted to ask if anybody, I'm sorry, Steph, just really quickly, I wanted to ask and take a survey maybe, is anybody feeling like they've learned some great resources, or they're excited about journaling, or is there any actions that you guys are going to take? If you guys want to think about that for a minute, maybe share some stuff in the chat. If you want to unmute and share, that's cool too. Stephanie, I'll go ahead up. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. Yeah. If anybody wants to share on that. Otherwise, I see Jason's comment about taking control of your day. And I agree, like once you have like an idea of what you need to do in the day, and then if something comes up, like you can, politely say like, I don't have time today, but maybe like you can look at your calendar and see what can fit that. So it's definitely nice.
This has caused me to like relook at my old bullet journal that I stopped, and I'm seeing so many like great things I want to start again. So I probably won't use it so much as like a daily calendar to-do list, because I have too many of those. But things like this, like I forgot I had done this. It was a 30-day habit tracker. So all the habits that I wanted to really get into, I was able to track, so I could see at a glance like where I fell off, what things apparently I enjoyed versus other things. And just having this is really, really neat. So I think I'm going to start using my bullet journal again, but keep it for things along this line, like gratitude, habit trackers, that kind of thing. So thank you. I had forgotten all about this.
Yeah, like I said, it's like, like a nice work in progress. Like you're constantly reflecting, constantly trying new things, and being okay with doing that. Just say like, let me try it for 30 days. And like, like the same, I will look at my habit tracker and see like, oh, there's like a couple weeks where I haven't done this. Is there a reason why? Okay, clearly, I either need to change that habit or just not worry about it, right? So it's just like a constant like self-improvement, I'd say.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so do you have any tips, Stephanie, about like being more consistent? A lot of people are saying like I started, but then I can't keep, like I don't do it every day. Or, like I really want to do it daily, but then you're just not being consistent. Is there any strategies? It seems like you're pretty diligent right now with your strategy. Is there a way that you got to that point?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, just making like a routine that you enjoy and are excited about, I think will help. I think like one of the partners, Meg, touched on this, right? Like creating like a couple things. Like for my morning routine, I have a diffuser. So the second my alarm goes off, I put that on. So it kind of just helps me like just like, I don't know, starts my day off. And then I actually have a Post-it note that like lists out what I need to do. Okay, like read, right? Not telling myself how much to read, but just read. So I'll read a couple pages, and depending on time, if I want to keep reading more, I can. And then the next thing is because I actually like I bundle it with reading because I did enjoy reading, and I'm trying to bring it back as a habit. So I do that. I feel good about the reading, and then writing is next on my list.
Yeah. Priscilla was asking about habit bundling. Same as habit stacking, I think, Stephanie. Basically, whatever, if you have a morning routine, like you get up and you brush your teeth and every morning, that's something you already do. It's just stacking the additional habit onto that habit. So I wake up in the morning, I have a vision board right by my bed. So the first thing when I wake up in the morning is I look at the vision board. I wake up, I see that. I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, all that fun stuff. I go to fill my diffuser because I do a diffuser as well. I make the coffee. I go and sit in my little chair that's right behind me. And I do my 3 morning pages of journaling. I do 10 to 20 minutes of meditation. I'll do about 10 to 40 minutes of reading, depending on how much time I have in the day. And then I'll do some meditation, yoga after the reading. Like it's kind of that structure. It depends on the time. Sometimes if I only have an hour, I'm going to do 5 minutes of journaling, 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of stretching, and then I'm on the way. So I think it's modifiable. But I didn't start 3 years ago doing all of those things, right? I started in very small segments and just started adding one after the other. And so like it became something that I do. So that's kind of like what it's about. Googling diffusers. I love it. Leah says. So does that help you, Priscilla?
Yep, makes more sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Casey?
I'm going to tweak that just a little bit in that I learned the term from Noom, which is a weight loss thing. So they consider habit bundling when you take something that you want to get into the habit of, and you bundle it with something that you already do that brings you joy. So in the case of like weight loss, for me, I can only listen to my favorite podcast when I'm either on a treadmill or I'm walking in the neighborhood. So if I want to listen to that, if I want to do the thing that I really like, I have to also bundle it with this other habit that I'm trying to grow. And so it can be like something like where you love meditation. So you now journal 10 minutes or 5 minutes before you're able to do the thing that you love to do. So that's how I've learned habit bundling. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for clarifying that, because that's definitely a different thing, because maybe you're not excited about brushing your teeth, but you are excited about journaling or something else. And then you could get excited about meditation after you do one or the other, however that works.
And then Jason says he calls it non-negotiable. So things that you like have to do there. So no matter, like I said, like no matter how much time I have in the morning, as long as I do like a little bit of something, and then that's it for the day, right?
Yeah.
And I also like post-its in places, so like it kind of just reminds me, and like it's a trigger. Because I'm, like I said, I'm not a morning person, so it's not all gonna be there. So here's like a reminder to myself, like these are the things I should do. So yeah, main tip is just starting small and just playing around to see what works for you.
I'm going to also say that if you wake up in the morning, you are a morning person.
That's true. That is very true.
Unless you wake up at noon and then you're an afternoon person, but.
Yeah, maybe like even like if you want to put your favorite song on or some calming music as well, that will help like guide you and maybe eventually work as like a trigger to like start your morning routine. So just like creating a nice, I guess, word for it is like a ritual around it, instead of just doing it like, okay, the only thing you have to do is journal, but making it like something that you enjoy. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I have my comfy chair and I have some pillows, and sometimes I have a blanket if it's really cold, and I have my cup of coffee and I have my pen and I open up my journal. Yeah, and sometimes I get the pretty journals because I am kind of like Casey with the whole making it pretty, but I don't get too crazy with it. But yeah, I do have these cool journals that are like adventure journals. I haven't used them yet, but they like have these like where I want to go, and then like then I always wanted to, and then you like follow it up like when you go somewhere, then you just like report in the book like this is where I went and now I've done and this is how I feel about it and all those exciting things. I have not used it very much, and we haven't traveled at all really much this year. I did a little road trippy, but yeah, so those are other cool ways to journal too.
And I do want to also put on that note, like I've also started putting my phone like on my desk versus like I used to sleep with it in my bed, which is a really bad habit. So the moment I wake up, like I would check my phone. So this way, like I put it face down on my desk and I can't touch it until I finish my morning routine.
Ooh.
And I think that's also helpful because you're not getting distracted already in the morning. Like you have your me time, you have your 15-20 minutes of me time before the world gets. So I think that's also really important too.
Oh yeah, super duper important, because you can start off not being calm if there's some kind of angry email or a client
50 notifications.
Yeah, I have a client that was messaging me at like 6 o'clock in the morning about a problem the other day, and I'm just like, that's not really how I want to wake up.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have looked at my phone, but I did, and then I'm like, ah. So I journaled a bit more that day. Oh, cool. Stacking habits with wine, whiskey, and beer drinking. That would be an amazing thing. That would definitely get me in trouble.
That's really good. Very consistent, Jason. But you know what works for you, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
Yeah,
reward
reward.
system of if I don't do everything you don't have a drink. I like that. That's cool. Yeah. Rewarding yourself for like getting things done is a really great motivator too, because then you're able to celebrate something. Very cool. We only have a few minutes left. Does anybody have any questions, or did anybody want to share how they're going to start journaling in the next couple days? Maybe like, are you going to start tomorrow? Who's going out to get a journal? What's happening?
I have a question for Stephanie. Do you, I thought I saw somewhere, I may be wrong, but you sell or you make journals?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
No.
She just makes her own.
Yeah, I make my own bullet journal. Yeah.
I got you. Do either you or Deb have a recommendation for, like, I just get those cheap notebooks, kind of create my own, but I know I saw something up there earlier about where to get a kind of a designed journal. Deb, can you post that again?
Yeah, I'll put some comments in the links in the notes here.
Yeah.
I've used the
yeah, I like some of those that you guys
the High Performance Habits. It's by Brendan Burchard. It's very in depth. So it does take quite a bit of time. But if that is something that you like, it goes through like daily prompts, like one thing I can get excited about today. If one word could describe the kind of person I want to be today, that word is, and then why I chose that word. Someone who needs me on my A game today, listing that out. A situation that might stress me out or trip me up could be, and then like preemptively thinking about like what could stress you out, and then how would I react to that. And the best way to deal with that situation kind of already gets you thinking about that, so that if it did happen, then okay, I already ran this scenario in my head this morning, so we know exactly what to do, right? So these are some really good prompts. Someone I could surprise with a note, gift, or a sign for appreciation is, and then you can write somebody's name in there. So yeah, I'll put this in. I'll put this in the chat for you guys. I did write a blog post, and I put some links in the blog post. Jason, J-Rob, cutting out little pieces of images, phrases, art, and taping them into your notebook or journals, kind of like vision boards, but not really. Just visual stimulation that makes you happy and gets imaging. I thank you for bringing this up, because you know what? There's an actual whole thing about art journaling. Have you guys seen the art journaling? Oh, I didn't even think about that until right now. I have a magazine somewhere that I paid like $12 for, but it's fantastic because it has all of these people who made these like image journals in all these different formats. Like people have used like CD, you know, those old like CD cases that like pop open, like you would put them in your car. They would like use those pages and like put journal pictures in them. I've seen bookmarks and things like that. There's a lot of really cool, if you're already, because Jason's a graphic designer, but this is like a physical representation of a journal visually with images and words and things like that. So those are really cool things. If you Google, and I'll find it, I can put it in our show notes in the YouTube video, and I'll put it in the Find Calm Here community too. So we're just wrapping up here. Thank y'all for coming. I really appreciate the activity and participation today. I know sometimes it's like the topics are not always the best for like sharing some certain things, but this is really great participation. So I just want to shout out and say thank you. I am going to send a little quick survey for you guys in an email after this event, just if you guys could give me a favor and fill that out so that I know for the next couple of events. We did talk about morning routines, and we actually are going to have a speaker I just met a few days ago. She's going to be talking to us about morning routines and waking up when the sun rises and how we can use that to benefit our day. It's going to be at the end. Well, it'll be the 18th of November. So right before Thanksgiving. We're in November already, guys. So next month is next week. And next week, we're going to be talking about finding calm with feeding kids. I know that not everybody on here is a parent, but I'm going to benefit from just learning about people. If I could go back in time and learn better eating habits when I was a kid, hello, that would have been helpful for like the 30 something years that I've struggled to deal with food. And I've got my COVID chunkiness right now happening, and my fault, taking responsibility. But I've been struggling with that. It's been a major thing for most of my life. So if there's a way that I could like teleport back to my childhood and say, here's the thing to do to eat better, that would be awesome. But for people who are raising kids, our event next week is going to be talking about finding calm with being able to provide healthy meals for your kids. And then after that, oh, sorry, I'm so silly. We have hiking. After that. And then we have sunrise. So we have feeding kids, then we have hiking. My mentor from like 10 years ago, Ross, he's a photojournalist and he is in Colorado, and he does all these crazy hikes up amazing mountains. And so he's going to talk about finding calm with hiking. I know, Jason, you're in Arizona, right? Or Colorado? You're in Colorado. I couldn't remember. Casey's in Arizona. You're in Colorado. But yeah, and I love Colorado. I've been there twice. I did a 14er and it was amazing. And now I want to go back. And I was almost going to move to Colorado, but I didn't because it's too expensive. Anyhow, lots of events coming up with the Find Calm Here community. We're going to be doing some changes, and then we have off for Thanksgiving. If you guys didn't know, I just launched a podcast. Serious? Did you know that? Yes. So there is a Find Calm Here podcast we launched, and it comes out every Tuesday. We interview the Find Calm Here partners to preview this event that you guys are at right now. So it's me and Steph. We were just chatting on Monday, and it dropped on Tuesday. So I will share the link there too. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So you guys can like subscribe to that. There's a link for that. Stephanie, wrap us up. Is there anything else you'd like to share, celebrate with us with journaling?
No, I put my Facebook and Instagram in there in case you want to connect with me on anything. Hopefully it was a little bit inspirational, and maybe you'll start your journaling habit there. Yeah, no, I really appreciate everyone coming out and participating and engaging with me tonight.
For sure. For sure.
Good to see you, Jason.
Yeah, it's nice to see everybody here. I'm excited for the next couple weeks. We've got some really cool speakers. You guys can grab the registration links for the next upcoming calls on the Find Calm Here website. If you are not a member of the Find Calm Here community, it's on Muddy Network. If you guys are familiar with the Muddy Network, I know some of you are and some of you are not, maybe not familiar with the Muddy Network, but that's what the platform is that we're on, and it's a private community. It's free. You can get in there and check out all the replays. We've been recording events since the end of April. There's like 28 events, if I'm counting right. I kind of lost track after a while, but like 28 hours of content at this point in the Find Calm Here community that you can watch the replays on all kinds of essential oils. We had affirmations. We had finding calm in small spaces. We've had finding calm with minimalism, finding calm with organization. There's just so much stuff in there. So definitely check it out. We do have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to. I will stop being a silly self-promoter now and say thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your evening and take care. Okay. And wave on your way out and say bye and thank you to Steph.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.